This whole we're fighting AI with AI is complete garbage.
I spoke with Danny Jenkins, the CEO and founder of ThreatLocker. In his view, focusing on security fundamentals like zero trust is the way that we're actually going to win against AI-enabled attackers. The stakes are very high, especially for MSPs that are on the front lines of protecting customers. But according to Jenkins, AI, for better or worse, may not be the solution to all of our security problems in 2026 and beyond.
You're watching Security or Else.
How does the AI trend compare to previous trends that you've seen in security?
AI is a tool, and it's a tool that mimics humans. So when we think about that, it's literally, we think it's great, not because it does the best job, but because it sounds like us. And when we put a prompt in there, we can talk to it like a human, and it will talk back to us like a human. And that makes us think it's some kind of superstar. And I always say it's the world's fastest dumb person, in that if you could take any person in the world and you can say, I want you to go and do a load of research for me, and they'll come back with X quality of research, which is not where I want it about here. AI will do exactly the same in 10 seconds. So it's much, much quicker. And I think that the trend that concerns me the most is this belief that you fight AI with AI. And of course, AI is going to be one of your tools. But we actually did a presentation a few weeks ago. We were demoing manipulating Claude and various AI tools into encrypting files. And it was unbelievable how easy it was to bypass artificial intelligence. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use it, but it's kind of that one extra point of your tool. And it's like basically saying, I'm going to add a little bit more detection into my system. What we should be focusing on is, as always, look, it doesn't matter where the ransomware comes from, whether it's made by AI, whether it's made by people, whether it's made by Russians or other Eastern Europeans or Chinese. Just focus on what you need and making sure that those services are running seamlessly.
You focus so much on MSPs at ThreatLocker. I mean, is this a message that you have been bringing to them, to that audience, especially around the fact that, we're not just going to have AI solve all of our problems when it comes to security?
MSPs have been stuck in this place over the years where they know customers need more security. But every time they go to the customer says to them, but I was fine last year, why am I not fine this year? For the first time in over a decade, we've been able to go to the customer and say, what's changed is we now have an AI-driven bad guy. So we're fighting a new war. We've brought a knife to a gunfight, and we need to make sure we even the playing field here. Some MSPs are really, really driving forward. I think one of the big challenges that MSPs have and have always had is, how do I communicate this importance to my customer? How do I actually go to my customer and say, this is really important, and make sure that they understand it? And if we look back through the years, that's been a challenge for MSPs anyway, because most MSPs, like myself, were nerds. And we love computers. I love technology. And that makes it really hard to actually go and articulate things to customers. And we don't want to be salespeople. So as an MSP, if you look at the MSPs that are winning, it's the ones that are actually able to go out and say to their customer, these are the threats we're dealing with. This is the solution. I understand that you don't want to spend any more money on security or technology or whatever, but this is where we need to be. Also, customers are right now adopting AI. So when they're adopting AI, they can now go to the MSP and say, how do I adopt this securely? So it becomes another in for the MSPs. I get to see both ends of the spectrum. I get to see some of the MSPs with some of the most advanced security, forward thinking, going to their customers and really, really doing a great job. I also get to see the other side of the channel where people are struggling to actually articulate that. And I think it's that part of the channel that we need to help elevate, to say, let's go off and make sure that your customers know what they need.
Are there messages that are impacting MSPs that are being, directed toward MSPs about AI that you think are not very helpful from the industry?
Look, I just think this whole fight AI with AI thing, and we've tried it, by the way. I mean, I have a research team here that's 400 people big, and we have teams in every AI model you can think about, looking at every attack metric you can think about. This whole we're fighting AI with AI is complete garbage. It's just nonsense, and we should really stop thinking that. And there's a reason for this. AI cannot determine intent. It can only determine behavior. So the difference between a piece of software that allows an MSP access to their customer's computer and a reverse shell is intent. The difference between backup software and data exfiltration software is intent. Behaviorally, they're all exactly the same. And what AI allows us to do is identify behaviors faster. It doesn't allow us to identify intent. Of course, everyone's looking for new ways to solve problems right now, but you should look and check the tangible result of this. Does it actually work? Let me test it with unknown malware. Let me create some malware. Let me try some phishing campaigns and see if the AI is able to detect it any better than the non-AI. And I think most of the time the answer is no. You have to focus on just basic security controls. And I think it's not conducive to MSPs getting them to spend more money based on AI tools and that aren't going to deliver any more value than the last tool.
You've been describing it here, but what do you think is the right mix of AI and humans, especially when it comes to other categories of security?
So this is where I think AI is really, really good in the security world. It's really good at finding things very, very quickly. So if something's unusual, you can actually throw at AI, give me potential causes of this, and it will say, these are potential anomalies. Now, it will give you 9 out of 10 false positives, but that's better than you having to look at every single thing individually. So I think there are areas where AI is good, but I think we should always start with, I have a problem. What is the best way to solve this problem? And we should never start with, I want to use AI to solve my problem. Because AI may be better, it may be partially better, but it's always, if you start with the problem and say, these are the ways we can solve it, this is how good they are, and test them independently, 30% of the time, you'll find AI is really going to help you, and 70% of the time, you'll find there's a better way to solve the same problem.
One of the risks here of focusing too much on using AI to fight AI is just that security basics maybe will fall by the wayside, and that there's all these other areas that are considered very fundamental that maybe not everyone has done already. Do you feel like those could be not focused on as much as they should be?
Absolutely. And I think it's even worse than that. I think there's definitely a need. You should look at everything you do in your day-to-day and see, can it be improved, or can you save time, or can it be replaced by AI? There's no doubt about that, because everyone else is doing it. As an MSP, you become uncompetitive if you don't. Here's the problem. If you manage to wet AI your entire job away, you're going to go out of business, because it means the value of what you provide is now nothing. Be careful about saying that AI can replace all of this. What you need to look at is, how can I really add value to the customer? Every time you get something new, you feel like this is going to help. And it does, but never as much as you want it to. So just make sure you keep your eyes open as well, and you do all of the basics.
Going back to the threat environment, what have you seen change even just in the last few months? What's kind of your up to the minute read on the threat environment and how that's been impacted by AI?
Vulnerabilities. The number of 0 days being released is unbelievable. Now, technically, a lot of these weren't AI, but there was Linux vulnerabilities that were AI definitely produced. 5 0 days in Windows in a month. And the moment Microsoft patched it, there was another one came out. So 0 days are exploding, and we have to start accepting that the software we run is going to be vulnerable, and we have to put constraints around that software. I've never seen more vulnerabilities in the whole time of ThreatLocker existing than I have in the last 3 months.
What's your perspective on what the answer is there when it comes to all these vulnerable applications?
So obviously, you should fix what we know is broken. And we have to accept that there's going to be things broken outside of that. You have to limit the amount of damage that those applications can take. 99.9% of vulnerabilities, if not more, when properly contained, are nothings. They are alerts. Was it possible that more could have happened? Yes, but did it? No, because most of the time these vulnerabilities are set up on the basis that your systems aren't properly locked down or secure. So when someone exploits them, the Exchange vulnerability, the Kaseya vulnerability, all of these become nothing burgers when you say, okay, I've got an app. This app might have a bug in it. We don't know. It might have a 0 day in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it exactly what it needs and nothing more. And guess what? 99% of the files in Windows do not need access to your files. So do not give them access to your files. Do not give them access to other applications, because that way, when they are exploited, the blast radius could be nothing. So that is the best thing you can do. Of course, make sure you patch it. When there's a fix, fix it. And then just even when it doesn't need patching, it needs containing. So ring fence it, limit what the application can do.
Sometimes there is a sense from the industry that, we're going to have to do all these things completely differently. But in a lot of cases, it sounds like a good part of what the threat environment is going to look like in the future. Zero trust and all these other approaches are kind of the answer.
That's the only way this is going to happen. If you do not do this at this point, you are going to lose this battle, and you have to deploy zero trust, whether it's ThreatLocker or whether it's you doing it manually. It doesn't really matter. You have to deny by default, and it will work. And the thing about AI is it just tells you something bad's happening or stops software from running. It just tells you the suspicious behavior in your environment. But if you think about this, if you had a bank vault and you had a big door on that bank vault and it was locked, and in the bank vault you had a motion sensor, so if someone got in, it would go off. What we're talking about is putting another motion sensor in the bank vault that's powered by AI. Just lock the door. And if you want to put another motion sensor in there, no harm, it's not going to cause any problems. But shut the vault door and have the motion sensor for when you forget to shut it.
What's the biggest message you would have for an MSP who you were talking to who was concerned and maybe not sure how to respond to this new AI world?
Stop untrusted software, limit what the applications can do, shut down your cloud apps, Office 365, G Suite, to only trusted IPs, and you can use zero trust cloud access through ThreatLocker. Close any VPN ports. So although I feel most MSPs now aren't using VPNs because people have moved to the cloud, but if they are, close them, use ZTNA. They're the four most important things you can do. There's a whole list of things. That goes into how do I protect myself from the AI world I'm in, and then the second part is how do I join the AI world and limit the damage that can be caused. And the biggest thing there is ring fence, ring fence, ring fence. Ring fence Claude, ring fence ChatGPT, ring fence your browsers. Make sure that these agents that potentially have the ability to make decisions about your data can only see what they need to see.
Do you see signs that this fight is winnable, and maybe people just need to think about some of these aspects a little differently?
You know what I'm encouraged about? We started this company with one mission, and that was to change the paradigm of security from default allowed to default denied. It wasn't called zero trust then. We now have about 30% of managed service providers adopting zero trust, at least in a large majority of their customer base. And it's not fully across every area, but definitely adopting it. And that's from 0%. So I didn't meet a single MSP that was denying software by default when we started ThreatLocker. So from 0% to about 30%, that's a big change in the world, and I'm excited to see it as what the next 5 years looks like as well. So I think while we are always one step behind where we need to be as a world, I think we are progressing very, very fast. And then the enterprise worlds are just as fast as well.
You feel like from an MSP perspective, there are options out there for them to have a shot against all these AI-enabled threat actors?
Absolutely. Look, I think the reality is it's very, very easy. Just do the right things. And the right things aren't about putting something on top. It's about putting something in the middle and making sure your system's secured from the ground up. And it's not hard. It's not difficult. We've got millions and millions of endpoints and manage millions of endpoints now from an approval basis as well. We would be out of business if it was difficult. And I think from an MSP point of view, this is a great opportunity to go to your customers. And look, it doesn't have to be ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker makes it easy, but there's other solutions that block software by default. But make sure it's blocking all software by default, not, hey, I blocked a script or something. But outside of that, it's very easy to do, and you really should get this done at this point, because if you don't, eventually you lose.
Danny Jenkins, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's really great to hear your insights.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Thanks to everyone who watched this video to the end. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. And join me next time as we explore what's hype, what's real, and what partners actually need to focus on next in security, or else.